What's up, creators? You guys clicked this video because you want to learn some tips and tricks on how to make thumbnails. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let you know that I am not a professional YouTuber, nor am I some sort of viral sensation, but I have learned a lot over the past 3 years of content creation and the past year on YouTube of what works and what doesn't. So I'm going to show you some tricks with Adobe Illustrator today to take your thumbnails from looking like this to looking like this. Let's go ahead and dive into it. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, these are the thumbnails we're going to try and recreate here today. The first thing I'm going to do is give you guys a few just tips here. If you're using Illustrator, if you don't know, you can hold down spacebar and pan around. You can hold down Alt and scroll, and that zooms you in. That should be enough to get you around, get you the basics going here. Maybe you're brand new to Illustrator, or you just need some workflow increase things. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you 4 texts. Now you can go to dafont.com and you can get these texts if you don't have them. These are the actual names of them. These 2 are very popular in thumbnail creation, as well as Impact and Burbank. Big Condensed is one that I just prefer and I enjoy it. It's kind of nice. So nice bold texts. Like I said, these are very popular. These are the most viral color choices, I guess you could say. Maybe not viral, but the most clickable color choices here. This top one is just my own personal deal. We've just got a gradient yellow and orange on top of a brown color there. But for the most part, these are the top color combinations in order to catch someone's eye. So if you want to take a screenshot of that, these are all primary colors for the most part. If you go to your color selection tool, pretty much you can customize your own color by coming down here and doing whatever with this. But if you utilize the default CMYK colors here, you're going to get a lot more vibrant pop from everything, and a true red and a true yellow is going to do better for you than like an off red or something like that. I apologize for that ding noise every time I pan. Every other time I pan, it does that. I don't know why, but all right, so we're going to get into this here. We're going to start with this guy because obviously I'm holding on to this one. But I'm going to kind of walk through and, shout out all the commands that I'm using to scroll and everything else. So far, I've already told you about the panning and the zooming. So what we're going to do here is we have a island background. I went to Google, just Google things and found just a blank island background. Okay, now whenever you've selected an image, you got to be, if you're going to have a background image, it needs to have a focal point. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go 1280 by 720, which is the standard size for YouTube thumbnails. So that will fit right inside of our artboard there. Easy peasy. So now we have a square that we can mask. Let's make this guy bigger because we want to focus on the island. And we can do something along the lines of just kind of, and you can adjust the opacity over here on the transparency bar to make it a little easier if you want to. Try and find the right size of the picture that you want. You really want that island to be showing because that's going to be the main focal point here. Now, when you're thinking about colors for actual backgrounds, shout out to I'm Cade for kind of teaching me this, but blues and greens are the most attractive thing that you can have in a thumbnail image. So that's why this one stands out the most to me, a little island image here. So now that we've you know what? I apologize. I didn't even talk about what I just did there. So we have our, sorry. All right. Grab this, arrange, send to back so that I can grab my little square there. All right. So there's our square again, right? We've got the opacity turned down so we can see it. I'm going to select, as long as this square, this 1280 by 720 square is in the front, we could select both and make a clipping mask. And that's going to pretty much delete the rest of the picture. Although it's there, if you still double click it, you could still edit it and see that we still have the whole picture, but click off of it and it's pretty much cropped it down to 1280 by 720 for us. So now we have this image here. Next, I'm going to talk about the outline that I do on the majority of my thumbnails anymore. I used to never do this, but now I kind of do it a lot. And the way that I do it personally is we've got the square tool or the rectangle tool, and we've got the rounded rectangle tool. So I'll take the rectangle tool and I'll just click on the screen and make a 1280 by 720 box. And we'll just make that white and black there. So we've got the actual box here. Now what I'll do is I'll come to the rounded rectangle and I'll click again, and it automatically says 1280 by 720, but I'm going to subtract 40 from both of these numbers. So we're going to go 1240 by 680, and that's going to give us a rounded rectangle that's actually smaller. Now you can click and drag it and use your eyes there, but it's always better to use these horizontal and vertical alignment tools at the top. So now they're perfectly aligned with each other. And we're going to use a Pathfinder tool here, which is called minus front. As long as this one's in the front of that one, more or less it will subtract the front for us and give us our perfect little border. With this border, I like to get rid of the outline on it. So if there's an outline, we'll get down there and get rid of the outline. But what we'll do from this point, you can leave it that way, but I like to add a effect, stylized drop shadow. And I just leave it all at the default settings there. Gives a little bit more depth, makes it almost looks like it's in a picture frame type of thing. I do enjoy that a lot. So for this next thing, we're going to drag in the DK Mandarin, arrange, bring to front here. Now you can go through and you can use filters and layers. And I was going to teach you guys layers, but I don't personally use them. So I'm not going to go like out of my way to try and do that. But you can break each one of these things down here into a new layer. And then you take the text out and you say, like, you paste the Control F to paste the stuff inside of the new layer. So now you can hide this one. And, you know, say if this was a different color or something like that, you can hide this one and you can only see that layer. I don't really mess with layers too much. I try to get my workflow cranking as hard as I can here. And with layers, they're just confusing for me. I just leave them alone. But okay, so we've got our DK Mandarin text here. We're going to call this Island Survival. Typically, if this was like a gaming thumbnail, I would make it like, you know, like the game I've been playing a lot lately, Sunken Land, is an island survival type game. And more or less lets people know, you know, obviously if it's not an actual picture of the game, you want to give them a title of the game. Less text, the better in most cases on thumbnails, because you want to leave it up to mystery and, you know, let people kind of use their imagination. But at the same time, if you're trying to target a specific audience, like people that play Sunken Land, you're definitely going to want to add the name on there. So next I would go, I have a collection of arrows. It is a good idea to get as many arrows as you possibly can, because arrows are super important. It really helps catch the eye here. I don't have a ton of arrows. I normally use the same ones. But here we have a arrow that's actually a PNG or a JPEG, I'm sorry. It's just a black arrow on a white background. Now, if Illustrator has a tool, it's called Image Trace, that allows you to trace the image, and it will break it up into an actual vector. And if you don't know what a vector is, pretty much a vector is like a scalable image that never pixelates. So you can, this is why I like using Illustrators, because we can have like crystal clear, you know, shapes and things like that. And we're going to expand it and then double click on it and delete the white background, because it's broken it up into two drawings pretty much. So we can delete the white background. And now we have this arrow, and we'll go ahead and change it to white. And also add a drop shadow like we did with the text in the background here. Drop shadow on the text. All right, so with this arrow, you can do all kinds of different things. Obviously, you want it to make the most sense it possibly can. So you can, you know, if you're wanting to point towards the island, you could do something along those lines, bring the text to the front, and, you know, something like that. It doesn't matter too much where the arrow is. Honestly, even without my face on it, this right here is a good thumbnail. You could make the arrow bigger, something along those lines. You can also, I believe, don't get me wrong here, but I believe you can use a paintbrush. And if we go like artistic, paintbrush, and then maybe we could do this, and it'll give us kind of a interesting outline to almost match the whole Sunken Land font thing. Let's get rid of the, oh, apologize. So if we make this white, the actually outline actually white, actually, you know what, here I'll use this white. So now you can see, you know, it kind of somewhat resembles, you could play around with the brushes and stuff, but you can see it somewhat resembles the text now. So it makes a little bit more sense, but I personally not a fan of the way that that looks, but that's okay. All right. So yeah, that's typically the thing here, but we're trying to recreate the thumbnail that I just made specifically for this video. So we're going to throw this over here. We are going to change this to say island survival. Okay, there we go. Now that badang noise, man, that's happened to me for years and I don't know why, what it is. All right, so island survival there. All right, so we've got this all laid out. Our image looks somewhat similar. Now I do have a image of me here with my thumbs up, so I'm going to grab that. And real quick, actually, the way that I take screenshots, in case anybody is curious, is I'll use my face cam like this, and I will record a second of me, say, doing this, look at the camera, you know, like do some sort of expression. And then from there, I will. My wife actually taught me this yesterday, which is kind of cool. I used to print screen everything, but say we've got this little video here now, and what I'll do is I'll full screen it, and I'll open. Windows has a tool called Snip and Sketch. If you don't know about this tool, it's called Snip and Sketch. And you can just click new, like literally go down to your Windows menu and just search the S's and it'll be down there, Snip and Sketch. Click new here, and you can just click and drag any sort of anything on your desktop, and there you go. It saves it as a screenshot. So pretty cool tool to use that Windows comes with there. But I have that image already, so I'm going to go to my desktop. It should be on my desktop with me with my thumbs up here right there. All right, cool. There we go. So at this point, you're going to want to get rid of the background and just have me. So what I do here is I'll take the pen tool. There's 1,000 ways to do this. This is the way that I prefer to do it. I'm not a Photoshop person. I don't like Photoshop very much. But more or less what we're going to do here is we're going to trace me out. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but the more zoomed in you get, the better it looks when you zoom out. So if you get in there, try and get some of these details, just click and drag. I used to like click and point like this, but it leaves, you can tell like it leaves like just straight lines. But if you click and drag, it kind of gives you like this like swirly, not so fake looking kind of idea. So we've got my headphones here. I can barely see them blend in with the dark, but I'm just going to try and make them, you know, as accurate as I possibly can. Go all the way around the outsides. Okay, like that. Now we do want to get rid of this part right here that's still, you know, should be transparent as much as we possibly can. When you're taking your photos, you kind of got to think about things like that. Do I have to remove more than just the outline, or is, you know, is the image I have going to work or not? Like I said, you don't have to be perfect with this. With this glow on my arm, I'm going to try and cut it off so it doesn't like, you know, interfere with, you're just like seeing this guy that's like glowing green or something like that. Normally I try and turn my lights off, but for this I did not. Now I don't know where my torso is here, so I'm just going to kind of wing it. Hopefully there, make me look a little skinnier maybe. And so now we have this white outline, and I want to also get rid of this section here since it doesn't need to be there. So we'll outline that as well. Perfect. Now we're going to shift click both of these, and we're going to make a compound path, which is going to make both of those into one solid object. And now we can do the same as we did when we cut out the island pick. Select the outline, select the background, make a clipping mask, and now we're here. And now I realize that that is like too strange looking. So let me fix this. Apparently that didn't work. All right, twist this around a little bit. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Still like I'm missing the majority of it there, but I don't know what the heck. That's weird. Okay, well, the majority of this isn't even going to be showing anyway, so it's not that big a deal. All right, so that's fine. So now we have the picture of me, and this is something that I do that's somewhat interesting. So, you know, you can turn it, put it in front of the text or behind the text. I typically like to put it in front of the text. And the reason I use me as a person now this is something I highly recommend you do as well. If you're playing a specific game, it is a good idea to get a screenshot of your character. If you don't want a screenshot of yourself, obviously, when you put yourself on your thumbnails, people get used to that and they see you and they get excited and click. You can go that route unless you think, maybe people don't like you, then you can use images of your character. But either way, um, always put either you or your game character on the screen, preferably in the right side, in the right third. In photography and graphic design and stuff, there's the rule of thirds, which pretty much you divide everything up, kind of like, you know, something like this, maybe. Obviously, imaginary lines. And you try and separate things in this whole rule of thirds. So, like, we could take the arrow, maybe something. I don't know, anything like that. But you got to keep this in mind. So, if you keep your character on this side of the screen over here and make it nice and bold and big, so it's a focal point. Anyway, let's do this glow thing on the outside here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on my guy here until we get to the screen. So I'm going to copy Control C, that outline, just the outline only, and I'm going to Control F to paste that outline. So now we have this outline here. This is a good part where, like layers and stuff would come in handy, but we don't really need them too bad. Object, path, offset path. Now I'm going to do a 15 pixel round path. And we're going to leave the miter limit the same, and we're going to press OK. And you'll see that it added this outline wrapped around my entire character. Now, if you're doing things like making stickers and stuff like that, this is a really good tool to use if you've never heard of offset path. But more or less what we're going to do here is we're going to click on the path that we just made, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Object path, offset path, 15. So now we have two. And what I'm going to do is the first one's going to be kind of the highlight layer. So we're going to go ahead and just make this white. And then the second one is going to be whatever color we want. So we're going to pick like a light blue, something like that. Okay, so now we have these two layers. I'm going to select both of them, and I'm going to add an effect to it, and that is going to be feather. So this feather is going to give us kind of a... Here, actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do them individually because I want this one here, the white layer, to be feathered 25 pixels, and I want the blue to be feathered 50. And that'll give us a nice little kind of glow effect, the best we can do with Illustrator. So I'm going to grab these two and I'm going to send them to back. And hold on, I think I messed that up. Send to back. There we go. Okay, so now you can see we're kind of glowing. We've got this white glow behind us. Just makes you stick out a little bit more. Now what we can do, bring all this to the front. Move this guy out of the way. And maybe make me just a little bit smaller. Make sure that my body parts aren't, falling off the screen here. We're going to bring the outline to the front. And there we pretty much have it at this point. You could make this blue color something not blue. So we could make it like, say we make it like pink or something like that to stand out a little bit more off that background because we do have a blue background. So something like that, add a glow effect to it just to make you pop out a little bit more. But now we can Control-Alt-Shift-S, and that's going to save it as a PNG file. And we'll just save it to desktop and just call it test one. There we go. So now we can move the art file away, and we can come back in and we can place our test one. So there we go. So now we have the actual thumbnail that I'm holding on to here. And you can do whatever you want with that. You can use that as a thumbnail. But in my case here, you can see that I added it to this. Now there's a couple different things I did with this thumbnail to make it stick out a little bit more. So what we'll do here is I will grab this arcade picture that I just grabbed off of Google. Where's it at? right here. Okay, so we've got this arcade picture. What I'm gonna do very first is I like the picture, I like the colors. You know, it's a little bit dark. Maybe you want something more brighter, obviously with the blues and the greens in the background. But let's go ahead and add a blur to this, a Gaussian blur. You can click preview and adjust the blur however you want. You could make it totally crazy, or you could just make it slight. We'll go with 9.3. So now we have this nice little blur here. We do have a picture of me holding the sign where we would end up doing the same exact thing here. Let's go place. Where's the one of me holding the sign? Right here. I'm going to go ahead and trim this out, and we will cut everything out there and place me in the middle. Do the same thing I just did. All right. So I've got me cut out now. So we can, you know, essentially put me on here. We would do the same thing that we just got done doing. We'll copy the outline, and then we'll paste the outline. Object path, offset path 15. Yes. Okay, there we go. Now we've got our white glow layer. So we'll go object path, offset path here. And then now we have our color layer. So we can go here and, you know, let's say that we want to glow blue this time. We'll glow blue, and then our actual background will maybe make darker blue or something along those lines. So we can go here and we can stylize feather 25 for the first layer. There we go. Kind of gives us a little glowy look. And then we're going to go stylize feather 50 for the outer layer. Now that actually doesn't look too good. So I'm just going to go, let's just see what another 25 looks like. That might be better, actually. Yeah, there we go. All right, so now we can select both of these and send them to the back. Just like that. So now we're glowing a little bit. Obviously, it looks a little bit different than this one because I used green, but same concept. So now we have a problem. I'm holding on to the thing, but my hands are in the way, right? So bring to front. Say we want to be holding onto the thumbnail like this. I want my hands to come to the front. So what I'm going to do, also my freaking fingernails are disgusting. I need to freaking find some clippers, but we're going to cut all that out. So we don't have to worry about it. But what we're going to do is we are going to hold Alt. So we get the little copy cursor that pops up here. We're going to drag this down and make a copy of it. And the first thing we're going to do is release the clipping mask and delete the outline. And I just want my hands to be in the front. So I'm going to cut my hands out here. Like I said, excuse my dirty freaking fingernails. It's disgusting, but it is what it is. But we're going to just kind of cut this part out. Cut this part out here. And, you know, every time I'm looking for them damn clippers, I can never find them. So it's an issue. But we just want the front of our hands to come out like this. And then that way we are going to have our hands on the front of the deal there. And we're going to do the same thing. Drag this down, copy on the other side, release the clipping mask, delete the outline layer, and do the exact same thing over here. So we're going to come through here, cut our fingernails with the magic wand here. Gross, bro. This is embarrassing. Oh, well, whatever. Who cares? All right. Go like this. Perfect. Okay. And bring the hand back a little bit. And there we go. Now we have the other hand. So it looks like we're kind of holding on to it. This is a technique I use for a lot of different thumbnails and stuff like that. You do want to make sure that it lines up good, though. If it doesn't line up good, then it looks weird, and you know, you don't want it to make it look like your hands detached. So there we go. We are holding on to the sign now. We can bring it, grab all that and bring it to front. So it looks like we're glowing and we're holding on to the sign. So that's pretty cool. Now what we want to do is the arrow part and this text here. So this combination of text is really eye-catching and really good to use. So we're going to make 3 squares here. I can't see them because they're all black and white, but all right. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to make it a solid black with no outline. We don't want an outline on any of these. And then we're going to grab yellow and no outline as well. So use the cross for that. And then red. So, and no outline there. All right. We want these to be, so we're going to bring the yellow to front, and then we're going to bring the black to front. So we have this kind of stepping stool looking thing here. And then we are going to use the BBOS text, and we're going to say, try these. Is that 2 spaces? Did I do that? I did. Jeez. White on black. So white on black like this. Bring to front. You want to make it as big as you can to fit in the square. And then same thing here. Try these. Thumbnail. Make the black on yellow. And this does correlate with the stuff I have on the side of the screen over here. Black and yellow. Red and black. Things like that. And then this last one, we are going to make it just say tips. And we're going to squish it down just a smidge. And then we're going to highlight it all, and we're going to horizontally center it so it looks nice. And then we're going to highlight it all as well, and we're going to go effect, stylize, drop shadow, just like that. Okay, so now it all has a drop shadow on it. This one's shadowing on that one, so on and so forth. So we have this. We're going to make it a little smaller so that we can drag it onto our thumbnail here, turn it sideways. Just a smidge, nothing too crazy, and throw it on there like that. So that is going to be our pretty much hook, I guess we could say. I'm going to grab my arrows here, images. Here we go. We got this other arrow. Now, like I said, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and get you like a database of arrows, because arrows are super good. And plus, you don't really want to use the same one all the time like I do. So if you can mix it up a little bit, that would be the best. So we're going to click image trace and expand again, and that's going to get rid of our background. And we're going to make it white and add a drop shadow to that as well. So that is pretty much all she wrote, but one last thing. So if you remember, I made the outline here for this one. So I'm going to copy, and you can also tell down here, I just have the outline ready to rock and roll. This is kind of my template where I start with all my thumbnails for the day. But there's a cool trick I've seen a lot of YouTubers do where they have the outline, and rather than leaving it bold like this, if you choose white and you go to transparency and knock it down to like 30%, it gives this cool, like almost 3D beveled effect, as you can see there. And yeah, more or less, this is about it here. Make me a little bit bigger. There we go. Just like that, man. That's how I make my thumbnails. Hopefully you learned something from this and not gotten annoyed and clicked off because of this dang ba-ding, ba-ding. See, it does it sometimes and other times it doesn't. It's like I click on something and then I move something and then I do this. I don't know. It's very annoying. I don't know why it does that. But yeah, that looks pretty good. The video looks pretty good. Everything looks pretty good, man. Oh, we are missing a hand. Oh, I must have not have selected. Yeah, whatever. You get it. You guys get it. Thanks for watching, man. Hopefully you learned something. Consider subscribing, please. And we'll see you guys on the next one. If you want to see a specific content creation tip or something like that, leave it down in the comments for me. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.